I am now, I transcend. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I was searching for answers, they were there all the time, but I just couldn't see them. In my heart I was blind. I believed in your story, now I know it wasn't true. And I see who I am now, and I know what to do. And I'm breathing in when I start again. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. Just turn around and go. I can't do this anymore. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. You were everywhere, in my everything. I don't need you now. I want you to know I see who you are, and I'm letting go. I want you to know.
Mahubai. Or is it Mabuhay? Mabuhay. See, I'm still working on it. Maayon Gabii. We're out here in beautiful Buena Vista Island. You want to pan over a little bit, give them a little view?
Hello, can you hear me? Hi everyone. Oh, mistakes.
State, your country, and where you're calling in from. I want to see where our audience is from. We don't have the big screen, so I'm going to be using my phone to see who all is on. Hey, shout out Dominic. I see you, brother.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Great to
Amy,
see you.
and can you just make sure that everybody is muted, Will, please? Shout out to Amy, Ting, Barbara, Betty, Eric, Etienne, Jackie, Kola, Christian, Michael, Nilette, Paul twice, Powell, Shelly, Stefan, Tracy, Tui, Vanessa, Vasen, Vicky, Widaj, Jan, and Zuhair. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Super excited for tonight's stream. And thank you all for being here. You're probably wondering who the heck I am. My name is Sam Hidja. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at IAMDIVINITY. And, I got started with the company, working with the company a little bit over a month ago now. And my life has absolutely changed for the better. Just a little bit about my past. I was basically an addict for so many different things, whether it was money, building businesses, marijuana, coffee, sex, validation, people pleasing, and thankfully I was open to doing the process, which you'll hear about a lot more from our Chief Divinity Officer. You've never heard that term before. He's actually developed this amazing process over the last and a permanent transformation. And what I mean by that, what I mean is imagine living a life without fears, phobias, limiting beliefs, trauma, just living on absolute ineffable, just I can't even really put it into words. That's what ineffable means, actually. It's a feeling so great, so extreme that it cannot be put into words. And so, everyone here that's ever done the process, their life has absolutely shifted in the most positive way. Whether they keep it or not, that's up to them. But, we have some amazing testimonials. And so here at IAMDIVINITY, our mission is to raise the overall consciousness of humanity to 700. And how we do that and like what that looks like, you'll get to learn more if this is your first time on the call. But really what we want for you, if you're watching this, whether you're here on Zoom, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're streaming from, is to finally be free. And if you've been asking for something and you've been praying and hoping, all I want you to know is that your search is over.
Good morning. My name is Donn Smith. That's Donn with 2 N's. And I'm here to share with you what I've developed over 44 years that I call IAMDIVINITY. I say that IAMDIVINITY because I'm divine and so are you. No matter what you've done and what you haven't done, you are divine, you always were and you always will be. And it gets all covered up. And so all of those trips to the personal developments and all of those things, and they don't hold, and did you ever question yourself? instead of just going back and getting the next one and the next one and the next one and none of them hold? Well, there's a reason for that. A very big reason is because you're working at a belief level of who you think you are. That's what beliefs are, both negative and positive. They're who we think we are. So going from a negative belief to a positive belief is not the answer whatsoever. It's about the knowing of who we truly are. There's knowing. It isn't a belief. And so all of these ideas of doing this and all of those trips to the wherevers, it's like dealing and it's permanent. Now the permanent comes in by you doing something for holding it. But I'm telling you, there's people have this for years and it's instant. And how do I say that with such boldness? Well, put it in the category of a phobia. 90% of the population has a phobia of something. Bugs, snakes, rats, heights, water, whatever. And my question to you is, how long did it take for you to create that phobia? Yes, you're right. 1 instant. And yet everybody questions me about that. And yet that's all it took. 1 instant. So now, what I did was, I reverse engineered near-death experiences and phobias to find out how they worked. And I reverse engineered it. So if you can create a phobia in a second, and most times it's before the age of reason, which is 4, 5, 6. Think about that. At that young of an age, that in 1 second, you created a lifetime phobia. Well, it's a lifetime phobia because you're holding on to it for protection. That's how the ego works. It's going to get you to hold on to something that's harmful for you so it can keep you aware in case it happens again. That's how toxic your ego is. And it's not your ego, it's the ego. Sorry, my mistake. Because you are much more than an ego. And so what it's about is if you create it in a second, why would it take any longer than a second to reverse it if you knew how you did it? That's what I do. That's one of the pieces. And then the other is the permanentness of it all. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. What color are your eyes? What color are those eyes of yours? Now you tell me how long you've had that color. Yeah, your whole life. That's permanent. Would you agree? But look at the permanentness of a phobia. You had it from age 4 to 84. That's 80 years. You'd think that was permanent. But it was created in a second, and you can reverse it in a second. So it's not. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we're talking about. Something that's instant, something that's permanent, and it's about who you truly are. Your divinity, your divine. Don't ever forget it. Always remember it. And all of these other things are happening because you have an attachment to the personal development system of beliefs and changing a belief from a negative to a positive. It's not going to hold. It will not hold. Yes, there will be improvements. Congratulations on doing that. That's searching. But I'm talking about a shift from this to a shift from this. Who we're not to who we are. And then doing a simple exercise. Takes 5 minutes, 3 times a day to hold it. And there you have it. That's it. That's who you are. That's why it's like the color of your eyes. The color of your eyes has been that way all this time, and you still have that color. Well, it's the same. Who you truly on a journey under 2 hours. Now I'm talking about, like, I've worked with 15 different pro athletes or Olympians, okay? That's just in sports. And then mega billionaires, millionaires, and health, cancer. You know, one guy, yeah, I met him in the garbage room in Vancouver. I opened up the door and there he is. Isn't that exciting that you will know who you are, and it will override and supersede who you think you are. Now, if you're tied up with that persona that you've developed, in a second, I might add, and kept it all this time, like I just worked with a guy that when he was 9, his mom died, and he decided to harden his heart. And he hardened his heart the next 40 years. And that's what all his issues were about. We went back, cleaned that up, boom, it's gone. All the symptoms were all gone. That's how easy it is, and that's how simple this is. So if you want to continue with your hard work and all of those kind of things, and going back and paying for this again, that again, and this again, and the counseling and the therapy and coaching and all of that, go ahead, by all means. But if you want to be free, free to be you, free to be who you truly are. And those eyes, every time you look in the mirror, it will remind you how magnificent you are. And that's how this process is about, whether it's in an individual or whether it's in group. And I welcome you to join us in this journey of raising humanity's consciousness from its existing 210 to 700. That's right, you heard it right. 210 to 700. So it's an awesome journey. We're looking for 100 that are willing to go to 700 to raise humanity's consciousness. So I welcome you, and I'll see you on our journey.
Yeah, so if that was your first time watching the video, you know, that video does a really good job of explaining it in simple terms and in human terms, really like a phobia, which a phobia is basically something that, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. One moment. I'm sorry. We're good? Phobia is basically something. Okay. Should be good now, right? All right. No. It's a very high level of fear, right? And he always mentions this. Someone that we know here had a phobia of seaweed, right? She would literally someone being afraid of seaweed or even, for example, a bug or whatever. And so just the same way that it takes an instant to create a phobia, which most of the times it's created before the age of reason, meaning before the age of 7, that's whenever your subconscious mind is wide open. Things are being downloaded into who you are, right? So this process works the same way that it's instantly creating a phobia. You can instantly get rid of all of those things that have been holding you back from being who you truly are, right? And so the thing about that is, and I'll give you kind of a personal example. I was, I came to the States at a year and a half. My parents were from Palestine. They met in Jordan, and they came to the States with about $1,000 that they borrowed from other people. So they were very much in survival mode. And when growing up, I went through a lot of trauma. And my dad actually, he was an alcoholic. He didn't do drugs. He didn't do any of those stuff. But he had his own issues, right? And so I went through a lot of trauma with him. And through this process, I uncovered a lot of was in survival and in the backyard. He asked me to hoe the garden to get the weeds out. And because I didn't do it the right way, he grabs the hoe and he hits me in the back of my back. It's like some crazy stuff. And so obviously I knew that had affected me. And so throughout my life, I tried to figure out ways to get over those things. I tried every single way, and I had been an entrepreneur for the last 12 years. I had been in several different industries, whether it was direct sales, network marketing, affiliate marketing, e-commerce, Forex, coaching, corporate leasing. I was in so many different industries. And what I realized after the process is I was actually trying to figure out and find my worth through these external things. And one thing I want to tell you guys is maybe that might be, or another one is like the gym, right? Like working out so much because that's how I found my worth. And what I realized after this is that my worth is infinite, just like your worth is infinite. And so, through this process, it really helps you realize all of the things that have been holding you back from being a team. And so we have some cool surprises. We have the man himself here today. But before I bring him on, we have a little special show for you. Like I said, we're here in Buena Vista Islands, and we have a fire dance. What is it called? The fire dance? Fire dancer that we have that's going to perform live for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy. After. Yeah. Yo.
Se liga mais tarde, vou adorar com essa gata. Se liga mais tarde, quero que se dê uma madrugada, sabe? Até o sair, se liga mais tarde, quero que se dê uma madrugada, sabe? E hoje vai rolar o
Goddamn.
No, the roof on fire. We gonna boogie, 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 jiggle, wiggle, and dance like the roof on fire.
Yo.
We gonna drink and take shots until we fall out, like the roof on fire. Now, baby, get my booty naked, take off all your clothes and light the roof on fire. Tell her, I'm on fire. I tell her, I'm a fireball. Fireball. Take my concert. That's the hard because I can't see. This is what you got on fire. He knows that. Well, y'all see he's running the game. Now, Big Bang figured that in a nice little shade. I gave you a little head up on the booty and she turned around and said, "What is way?" Oh, in a rain. I'm
Shit, like all the videos.
Fireball.
At iba ang tao sa mundong ito, isa ang kulay ng dugo. Iba ang tao sa mundong ito, isa ang kulay ng dugo.
Oh, Wow, what a finale. Hey Z, come here. Hi Z. You want to come say hi to everyone? Come here. Come here, Z. Come here. This is Z. Say hi, Z. He's a little bit shy today. He's usually not. And which was interesting because Z was a little bit more shy before. After him and his mother went through the process, he just started being way more social, just having a lot more fun. And now it's like that's operating at a level 700 affects 90 million or 70 million people on planet Earth. And so I really wish for you all on this stream to feel what we're feeling and to experience this process. And it wouldn't be possible without the man, the legend, Mr. Donn Smith. And we're lucky to have him here with us tonight. And you'll be able to experience him. It's taken him 44 years to get all of these little pieces, and he's constantly working on himself. And he always says this, he uses himself as the guinea pig first, and then he brings it to all of us. And so I'm going to try to stop to put him into a box because he's just out there. And you'll now be able to experience him. So Mr. Donn Smith, will you come up here?
Thanks, bud. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm in the Philippines here, and it's hard to believe I'm a little chilly. I got so spoiled, and the fact that I'm from Canada and it's freezing there with snow and everything. Anyway, a question was asked of can kids do the process? And actually, I've done it with lots of kids, but a lot of times they shift when the parents shift. They just naturally shift because they're, especially the younger they are, yeah, they just shift on their own, and they go to that different level because they're operating at the level that you're operating. And it was just like I grew up in a violent home, and you know, my dad and my oldest brother, like there was 10 of us, 6 boys, 6 girls and 4 boys. And my brother coming home with brass knuckles, him and dad just fighting, and just oven doors breaking, chairs flying. Yeah. Yes, and on the other side there was love at the same time. But for example, they used to, a couple of nights a week there would be a card party at our place. We lived out in the country on Prince Edward Island, and everybody be playing cards, but everybody be drinking the moonshine and the whatever, mostly moonshine, if they can make it on their own. And then the fighting would start, and there'd be chairs flying, and yeah, it was violent. It was a violent home, and yet. And you go to church, and the priest would be telling you how bad you were, and yeah, it was like just immersed in that toxic energy. And I was a long way from that. What started it was me. I to deal with all of that, I started drinking. I remember going to the dances in Vernon River, and there would be the Dino and the Satins would be up on the stage, would be dancing, and I remember all the guys would be at the back of the hall. The girls would be all sitting around the edge of the hall, in chairs. And remember, before I started drinking, I would be absolutely terrified to walk across the floor, with everyone watching, and to ask a girl to dance. And if she said no, I'd have to walk all the way back across the floor and be picked on by my buddies, all of that. And one night, this Bobby White was invited me out to the out back of the hall, and he had a Mickey of whatever it was, and he asked me for a drink. And the first thing I'd said was no. Like, it was just natural for me to say no, because I had seen all the violence and everything that drink did, the alcohol did. And then I thought, what the hell? So I downed half Mickey, and we stayed outside for a bit. Then I went in, and the heat from the hall hit me, and it was like, oh my God, I'm like Superman. I'm like Superman. I just walked across the floor, asked the girl down. She didn't ask me. I'd ask the one beside her, and if she didn't, I'd say, keep going till I got one. So there was no fear of rejection. There was no embarrassment. There was none of that. It was all gone. It was literally all gone. And so I just tried to replicate that I'm Superman energy, and that's what led me to for me, it was there was a series of events that led me to finally give it up. But one of them was that we were at a Christmas party, and I was making a complete fool of myself. And my wife kept saying, "Come, Don, let's go home, let's go home." And I said, "No, I'm not leaving until all this booze is gone, free booze." And then we finally, let's go. And we drove across Calgary, from the northwest to the southeast, and location of what I saw, mom and dad and my brothers and sisters and whatever. And and the next thing, we just I drove the babysitter home and come back. When we got back into the screaming and yelling, the kids got up, and the next morning I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, let's get this over with. Let's just stop this mania, crazy. Let's just get it over with. And my neighbor across the street, I knew he had a shotgun in his garage. And I'm thinking, how can I get in that garage and get that shotgun and just blow my head off, get this over with? This pain of hurting people I love, all of that. Let's just get it done. And there was some, like, I know what it was, but it was like there was this shock to my system. I come out of that trance, and I thought, I gotta quit. I gotta quit the drinking. And then when my wife and I started talking, she said, Peter, my brother-in-law, was in AA, and I said, why don't you go to an AA meeting with Peter? And I thought, okay, I'll do that. It was completely out of guilt that I did it, but I said yes. And I ended up going to an AA meeting, and And then I just started doing that, and I ended up about 3 months in. I did a fearless moral and inventory of myself, and found out all of these subconscious things that were going on, to a degree anyway. And I went out to one of the steps is, you know, writing out this moral inventory of yourself and then telling someone. And I was in Calgary, and I made an appointment with this Father Paul in Cochrane, Alberta. And I went and did this telling him all these 28 pages that I had. And the crazy thing was, I had my head down as I was reading all these 28 pages, and I was waiting to hear a sound. I was waiting to hear a sound of the door handle opening, and the door opening, and for Father Paul to tell me to get out of where he was sitting, come over, stood me up, gave me a hug, and he said, "I've never heard such beautiful releasing in all of my priesthood." Gave me a big hug. That lasted 3 months. 3 solid months. I was on a high, as bright as this light and this light together, on this high from that experience. And it just kept me going. And, I've been sober for 44 years. And there's no cravings or whatever, because I cleaned this up. Now, that was a slower version of what it is that I do. But what it was cleansing my whole energy field of the toxicness. Now, it didn't have the techniques that I have now, but it was a remember when. And yes, I had a few glitches along the way, and but never had another drink or a drug, drink or. And yeah, so that was kind of like how I kept going and kept going, finding this euphoria state, because euphoria really is the state of who we truly are. It's crazy. It's actually crazy how little we spend time in who we really are. We're spending time in who we think we are. And even when there's, all of these wonderful things happening, you get your career, and you got your wife, and you got your children, and you got all of that. But there's so much of that is external. And the problem with external is it can be taken away at any time. It can be. I'm not creating fear for you. I'm just saying that, I lost my wife in 2014 to breast cancer. And she died in February of 2014. And 3 months later, my daughter got cancer, and she died in May of 2015. So I lost my wife and daughter within 15 months of each other. And, those are pretty intense feelings and emotions. And I didn't have what this is. And so I went through a lot of grieving and loss and whatever. And I know there's people on this call that you probably had a lot of similar intense emotions. How do we deal with that? And that what Sam was talking about is like a phobia. A phobia is an intense shock of something, always exaggerated. It's but I got to come back to something. I had 7 near-death experiences. 7. Yeah. And one of them was having to do with my wife. I had quit smoking. And I seen her coming down the street. She went to the grocery store. And I shouted to her to get me a pack of cigarettes. And she said, no, you want to start smoking, you damn well get your own pack of cigarettes. And those aluminum summer doors that you have on your house, the one glass was up to the top. So there was 2 pieces of glass there. And I said, you bitch. And I went like that, put my fist through the window, and it smashed the first one. And then when I went in to smash the second one, it cut all the tendons and nerves across my wrist. And the ambulance was 2 blocks away. Other than that, I was just staring there and watching the blood go like this. That was just one, electricity, drowning, the list goes on and on. I had 7 near-death experiences. And it was me subconsciously trying to get out of this world because of how painful it was. Well, it's not painful anymore. It isn't. It isn't because I didn't have that driver. I got rid of the driver. But it took me a lot longer to figure this all out. But now it's like, there was a guy here from, where was he from? Tonga. And I have a questionnaire that I give people. And what that does is it pulls out all these programs and patterns that you're subconsciously doing that you didn't even know you were doing. And I give people this questionnaire. It's 3 or 4 pages, just one question. And then what happens is, in his case, I just read it, and the very first question, very first sentence in that questionnaire, and I just looked at it and said, "Oh, that's it." And what happened was I just linked all of the other questions, all the other answers to that. That was it. It was like everyone I asked, it was like, yeah. And it's kind of like I told this story before because I hear all these crazy stories, crazy stories. So there was a lady that I work with. She was 84. Yeah, 84. Yes, 84. And she had a stack of papers of all these physical for, well, it turned out to be 76 years. 76 years that she had started having these symptoms. And it was like, what happened? So this lady kept begging me to come see her mother because she had all these symptoms. And so that's what I did. I went to see her. And interesting enough, as I come in, the music was on. Now, keeping in mind, she was 84. And I just went over, never even introduced myself, stood her up and started dancing to the music. And all of a sudden she started smiling and, out of the dread for a few moments. And then I did the process with her. And it completely and totally changed. It was like, but what had happened was I had asked her some questions, because that's all I do is I ask questions, because you have the answers. You have them, not me. I just asked the questions. And what had happened is when she was 9 years of age, she was walking on the road with her 6-year-old brother, holding his hand. And at 6, the little 6-year-old just dies while she's holding his hand. her mom and dad come along and blame her for killing their son. And that was that shock, that instant shock, that creating that I'm going to die. And she kept repeating it and running to the hospitals and the doctors for all of these symptoms that never stopped. They just kept getting different and different. And she had this stack. And I can't remember the exact time, but that evening, it was all gone. All of the symptoms were gone. They were all literally gone because it was a shock that created them and a shock to remove them. And they were. So like, this is what I'm talking about, like how, you know, there is no way a talking therapy. I remember a guy, I was in Prince Edward Island, that's where I was brought up. And I had gone to Calgary for 10 years and then I went back. And I had started this process and not knowing what it was at the time that I was starting. And there was a guy came to see me and he was dealing with a phobia for 9.5 years. He was in Toronto. 9.5 years, he told me that he was dealing with this phobia. And we started at 10 o'clock and 4 to 11, they were gone. And it was like, and he had spent all these years, 9.5 years, going to psychoanalytical therapy to ask why and where's this coming from and all of that. And he still had it, you know. Took me about 3 minutes over 45 minutes, but it just took, boom, it's gone. And so that's what I'm talking about, like the difference. And what I used to do is take these layers and layers and layers and layers, but I've perfected the process to the degree that I can just see a person's beingness and figure out what it was. You know, I work with someone today and I'm still kind of like raw on the inside of what happened. And because it was so advanced, it was my latest download from the divine. And actually, I had been doing this now for about 2 weeks. I just keep being led and led. And the key about what I'm saying is these seem like just words, but they're more than words. Literally, we are divine. We are divine in a human container. In a human container, we are this divine being. And this divine being, you don't take it in layers. It's like this crystal ball. It's like solid, it's pure. And all of these talking programs and whatever, you're talking about it, but it has to be that, like what I did was like I had, you know, when I just for me, for example, when I was 3, I lived on Prince Edward Island. If anybody's ever been there, the soil is red. It's like deep red. And I had a security blanket, like, to try to deal with all this chaos, crazy chaos that was going on all the time. Screaming and yelling and chairs flying and butcher knives and blah, blah, blah.
Sorry, Dom, I have to go. I just had to say thank you for everything. I have to go. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my friend. And what happened was I had a security blanket. It was pink in color and I called it Pinky. And what and I dragged it around everywhere I went. And one day when I was 3, my mom decided, with her parental wisdom at the time, to hide it on me. So she hid it. And I moped around. We lived in the country, and the pinky blanket was more red than pink. And so she hid it, unbeknownst to me. And so I was looking pinky all this time. And then one day, I'm rooting through an old closet, an old cupboard, and here's Pinky. I found it. And our house, the living room, the kitchen and dining room were just one big room, just separated by an archway. And I come out of that closet with every ounce of energy. Yee-hoo! Found Pinky, found Pinky. And I'm going all around this kitchen. And my mom and some brothers and sisters were sitting over here on the table. And mom just got frustrated with all the racket. And she jumped up out of the chair, put her arms on my shoulders, stopped me in mid tracks, tore the blanket out of my hand, ripped it into shreds, and threw it in the stove and burned it. Boom, gone in a second. Well, that was my base core trauma. And I just kept repeating that over and over and over and over and over again until 28. So that's 20, 25 years that I was dealing with this trauma. And I just get so high, boom, so high, boom, so high, boom. And I would just sabotage everything, just sabotage. And so it's those kind of things. But you know this, if it happened in a second, why would it take, like the guy doing his phobia for 9.5 years? Like, why would it take 9.5 years to get rid of something that took a second to create? Now, just answer that question yourself. Answer that, like, and anyway, that's how to deal with that. And what I found is how to recognize these programs and patterns in me first and everyone else after. And so anyway, coming back to what I was saying, this advanced work that I've been doing now for about 3 weeks, and I don't usually share, but it was so intense, and all of these pieces coming together of this advanced divine being of who we all are. All, every single one of us are. And there's no words to it. There's, like Sam mentioned, when you get up to 700 plus, they call it ineffable. And ineffable and so that's what I'm talking about. And so I was approached and asked by Jamie, actually, to take him through my new work. And I did it on this beautiful beach that you can see a bit off here. And because he was so advanced, I was able to take him to even higher, dramatically higher than where he was. And it was stunning for both of us, because what I was seeing was, I was seeing me. I was seeing my work unfolding through me by working with him. And yeah, it was spectacular. It was spectacular. It was, yeah, just like, wow. And so, you know, it's crazy how far away we get from who we are by being who we're not and thinking that's true, that I'm bad, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not loved. Like all of those, all of those, all of those, all of those. And know this, that going from I'm not loved to I am loved, I'm not worthy to I am worthy, I'm bad, I'm good. Like they're all an external. It's like this shirt. This shirt is not me. This jacket is not me. Now, whether this is an ugly jacket or a beautiful jacket, or an ugly shirt or a beautiful shirt, that shirt, this jacket, is not who I am. Your negative belief that you're not good enough is not who you are. Your positive belief that you are good enough is not who you are. That well, that's not who you are. And the reason you're not safe is because of how you see you and your world. And there's phobias to them. I was with my sweetheart in Israel the other day, and we were up on the mountain where I built a bamboo home, and where you could just see for literally miles. Literally, they say it takes 4 hours to drive from the far west to the far east of what you can see, and that's just the front. You can see all around, and yeah, and it was like this expansiveness, and so it was like this light, this beautiful light, and that's who we are. We're this light. It's like pure, and no one can tell you otherwise. And no matter what you've done, no matter how bad it was, because I had a contract once with federal parole. I work with serial rapists, armed robbers, murderers. I was just telling someone today, it's been, I think it was 93. Yeah, 93 to 96. And, I had this one guy, he was never able to stay at a prison longer than 3 months. Longer than 3 months. And I worked with him, and I had just about this much of what I have now. And most of my family's still on Prince Edward Island, and my sister who did my work, one of my sisters, one of my 6 sisters, and she was telling me that she met Jeff and his wife, and he's never gone back to prison from taking my process. Like those crazy, amazing things. And what that is shifting. Remember, shifting our identity of who we think we are, both negative and positive, because they're both, I think, who I am, to the knowing of who we are. So this like crystal ball energy, it's solid. It doesn't matter if there's 14 inches of dirt or mud or paint or whatever on this crystal ball. It doesn't. My wife, Rosie, had all these crystals, and she had a crystal ball that was about 14 inches round. Well, that's it. That's who we are. It's not the mud, and it's not the paint. So coming back now to I was in Isolan, and everybody was like this, and I'm wondering, what in the hell are they doing? And here on this tree were these green bugs. They were, sorry, not bugs, caterpillars. Caterpillars. And they were terrified of the caterpillars. The girls were, ah! And I'm saying, okay, now seriously, come on. Yeah, okay, you're trying to tell me, kind of like the seaweed one, that you're going to die from this caterpillar. So I reached up. Here's this light green colored caterpillar. Put it on my hand and then started walking on my hand. And here's what everyone was screaming about, because they were going to die from this caterpillar. Like, there is no logic and reason to a phobia, yet everybody has some form of a phobia. And that's all that happens with the phobia is the intensity. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with intensity of something. And a phobia is just and so that's what it is. And it can be taken away as quickly as it was created, which is an instant. And the only thing that slows it down is our attachment to those programs and patterns of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, I'm not safe. And most of them are the not safe. And the ego's got you convinced. The ego's got you convinced that you're not safe, you're going to die, no matter what it is. Whether that's rejection from someone, the list goes on. It's never ending. And so what this is about tracing our programs and patterns, okay? Tracing the programs and patterns neurologically, not intellectually. That's the difference. And to get to that core, get to the core, that one, like the pinky story, emotion that happened, that triggered us, where all of these happened. And the rest were just layered on. But if you get to that first one and peel it away, guess what happens to the other 416,000? Yeah, they're gone with it. And that's what it is. And that's how simple it is. And so, there's been some people having some pretty staggering results lately. And I know that it has all to do with me evolving. All of the work I used to do with people. And right there on the spot. And the parents came along and they blamed her for killing their son. Now, she had that for 76 years. That's how long she had it. And that's what was driving this stack of medical records of all these things, physical symptoms that she had, because it was so intense. And I cleared it up and it was gone. Like why would it take 28 years or 40 years or 70 years to clean up something that took a second to create? So what I did was I guided Jamie to this whole new level, and he just followed. There was no resistance. There was no questioning. It was like, here's this. And so it was so intense that he couldn't be on the call tonight because he's processing this intense, intense work that we did today on this beautiful sandy beach. So anyway, that's a smattering and a patch here and a patch there and this and that of all that's going on. And we have a program tomorrow morning here in the Philippines. I believe it's 6 o'clock.
5 p.m. Eastern.
5 p.m. Eastern. Oh, Eastern. Yeah, 5 p.m. Okay. 6 a.m. here. Okay, 6 a.m. here. I'm terrible with time. And with this whole shift to the Philippines. So I encourage you to show up and get that slate cleaned, clean up all these things, and the ego is going to do everything it can to stop you. It literally is going to do everything and anything to stop you because it wants to. And it doesn't give an F about you and how much it's going to cost you, how painful it is. It does not care. It just wants to stay alive in your container of who you think you are. That's it. That's what it's all about. And that lady, coming back to the 84-year young lady, the music was on still in the background. And the two of us got up and started dancing the second time with her singing. She was singing. And all of the programs and patterns just started leaving. And yes, the physical takes longer than the instant shock to release it, to lance that emotional boil. And it just takes a little longer to get rid of all of that, depending on what it is, whether it's cancer or MS or listen, the list is endless of all these physical and emotional and mental symptoms that are stuck and associated to that shock that you experienced. And it can be gone that quickly. It's just that we take a while to find it. But with this guy from Tonga, it was the first question, the very first question, his first answer, the very first line out of the 4 lines on the answer to the first question was the answer. And everything else, what about this? Yeah, that's linked to that. What about this? Yeah, it's linked to that. What about this? It's linked to that. That's it. When we get them all connected, whether it has to do with the love, whether it has to do with the worth, whether it has to do with the safety, or whether it has to do with the freedom, they're all linked to one. And that's what I do. And that's why it's so fast. Why would it take 20 years, 40 years, 60 years, in this lady's case, 76 years? She had this phobia. Imagine 76 years having a phobia. And that took 1 second to create. Imagine having to take 76 years to uncreate it. Yeah, no, it was created in a second. And that's what I did. And so before we left, we started dancing again, only she was singing this time. That was the only difference. So that's what I'm saying. We're doing that tomorrow. Once again, could you? You don't have to go to confession. You just have to take this process. And next thing you know, it was like, wow, this is who I truly am. Imagine you finding that out. And then doing an exercise that takes 10 minutes 3 times a day to hold it. And there you have it. So I invite you. I'm going to bed, actually. to get rested to work with you tomorrow morning. So get ready. Here we go. All the best. Everybody.
Thank you, Don. Yeah, it's always amazing just to hear all of the different stories, whether it was Nua from Tonga. Oh, Don, that one's broken. Nua from Tonga, or the 84-year-old lady that had, the stack of illnesses. Her brother at 6 years of age just randomly dies, and she's stuck in this state of perpetual shame and guilt for her whole life, and she's creating all of these illnesses, not knowing that was her creating all of it. Or I mean, there's so many, whether it's the health issues, whether it's billionaires that Don's worked with that in 6 minutes were able to save $650 million, or whether it's pro Olympic athletes or whatever you want to think of. He's been able to help them, not help them, coach them. He basically helps them empower themselves to figure out who they truly are. And that's what we're offering you, is a journey of figuring out who you truly are and how powerful you truly are. It's not an intellectual thing that you can try to understand by just hearing words or whatever. For a long time, I told you guys I did all of these different ventures in all of these different industries, and I had my worth tied up in all of that, whether it was the businesses, the gym, the relationships. My worth was tied up in that. And I tried to undo a lot of the old things that were repeating itself through coaching, through personal development, through energy work, through breath work, through whatever modality you can think of, through plant medicine, right? Plant medicine, aka Don likes to call it plants with drugs in them, right? Because he doesn't like to sugarcoat it. It's just, it is what it is, right? And so there is absolutely nothing that works just as fast and just as effective. And so, like I said, if you've been looking for something, this is it. And I want to just bring up a couple of people before we close the call out. Can you check, is Gilbert, are you on the call tonight? If you could share your testimony if you're on the call. And then number two, you just sent me a voice recording of your buddy that went through the videos himself. So if you could share both of those things if you're on the call.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hey, once again, I want to start it off by saying thank you, Team Divinity, for everybody who couldn't seem to find a way to break through. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So quick story, had a lot of trauma growing up, childhood trauma. I'm sure you guys all had that. Wasn't even, I'm not going to blame my parents. Of course, they had their own personal trauma, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why I continue to keep being passed down. And besides that, I was also in a 4-car pileup. Also had disability in the military, 50%. So it was just a lot of trauma. Dislocated my wrist. I wasn't able to get past a certain point. And with the ability to like minimize the pain, oh my God, the third day is when a lot of the pain just got stripped from my body. And I'm not gonna lie, I teared up because I've had it for 9 years with that 4-car pileup on the freeway in 2015. So it was intense, and I thought I was just going to have to live with it. And I tried everything from ayahuasca. They went through the journey too. I tried going through the journey to try to heal myself from all my toxicness, from my addictions to sweets, to a lot of like my 19-year addiction of weed. Yesterday I had another opportunity to smoke, but I felt so full. I'm telling you, I went to the hot springs. One of my friends kind of, it's okay. We all go through it, and we're still trying to break through this process. But it feels so good to not be tied down to our mental chains, or to, like Don said, our nervous system, our egoic nervous system that got just implanted in there. Feels so good. Like if anything felt like freedom, it was going through this process And I didn't get an opportunity to see those 3 videos right off the bat, but just the constant, the 3 a day and the ammunition for the ego was working beautifully for me. So I'm really grateful for this process, and I'm really grateful to have gone through that video too, because I thought I was good. I thought, until I realized I had a lot more people to forgive, and I was crying like a babbling brook. I'm not gonna lie, but it's the process. We have to release all that heavy energy, and it releases in liquid form. So, don't be embarrassed about, the releases. It's just the process we're all going through. We're all going to react differently. So just be gentle with yourself. That's what I've noticed. Be gentle, because that ego I had built a really ugly ego. I was a hardcore narcissist, and I've been working on it for the past 9 years with professional development. I've noticed it's been taming it, but the addictions were still there. Everything was temporary until I found this system. I think I'm on day 19 right now, sober, of all my addictions, all my fears, and then the pain. The pain is gone. So I'm forever grateful. I hope this resonates with someone out there. If you don't think that it will work, at least give yourself the opportunity to give it a shot. What do you have to lose? It's free anyways, just the ego, just that nasty chatter, a little bit of your attention to free yourself, so you don't feel like you need to be attached to any kind of external stimuli, and you just feel so whole and full within yourself, full of compassion and love, that it oozes everywhere. All I noticed, my friends are getting way more compassionate. Even the people that would just give me a handshake now give me hugs. This is powerful stuff. And it does take courage, willingness, honesty, and oh my God, what was it? And oh my God, there's one more, but it does take courage, though. It's courage to battle through all those traumas, to say, yeah, you know what, I'm not gonna allow this to run my life anymore, and continue to keep creating those self-sabotaging patterns. I'm done with that. I'm done with the pain, and I'm done with being afraid of not reaching my full potential. So thank you so much for empowering me in my life. And I'm noticing a lot of my friends like Arturo, Eddie, my friend Ben from New York, they're all feeling it. And Arturo gave me an audio message this morning. He's unfortunately he's in an area doing welding in the middle of nowhere. So the reception's really horrible, but he tried getting on and it just kept kicking him off. But he did try, and he really wants to share. So hopefully when he's out of the field, he'll be able to share some of his stories too. But he's just like, dude, I felt like this lightness. I thought I was at 100%, bro. I really thought I was at 100%. And then I did that third video, those 3 videos, bro. And then, dude, like all this weight lifted off of me. And he said he started remembering himself when he was a kid, and he started having this dream. He said every time when I was a little kid, he used to have a dream where he would start off like a feather, just like floating down, like a beautiful floating feather. And then he said, as soon as he touched the ground is when the dream started for him. But I was like, yes, bro, you're getting it. Just keep remembering that while you're doing those 10 minutes. If you start remembering more of those beautiful moments in your life, just focus on those, because that's who we truly are. We're that miracle. We're that beautiful beam of light. So if you're watching this right now, I know my hair's kind of crazy right now. I just did it. I haven't combed it yet. Just woke up, but I had to share regardless. And I got nothing to hide. And it feels so good to be free. There's no strings on me. Thank you so much, Sam, for letting me share. You guys have a beautiful one. I'm forever grateful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. Have a beautiful one.
Thank you, Gilbert. It's always great to hear from you, bro. And we'll see you soon. We're working on getting Gilbert is really powerful. He shared yesterday. Or, I mean, if there's anyone else that wants to share their testimony, feel free to raise your hand. We're happy to have you share.
Oh yeah, hey, my friend Ben's on this right now. You should call him out. Just I wonder if he's still on. Yo,
All
Ben,
right,
you
well,
on, bro?
let's have him come up. What was his name,
Unmute your.
Gilbert?
Is
Sam?
Ruben? Ruben.
Ruben. Ruben, are
Yeah,
you on the call?
yeah, he is. He just texted right now in the chat. You just have to unmute the little phone thing, bro.
He
Okay,
said he
yes,
doesn't
well.
have a microphone.
Oh. So he said.
Oh, okay. Well, but he's
All right,
on
well,
though. That's cool.
awesome. Yeah, next time we'll have you share. Ruben, is LK on the call? Will? He is. Mr. LK,
Yeah,
would you be so kind to share your testimony?
hey, I'm on the call, but I'm on the road right now, so I really can't, be distracted from what I'm doing as far as my driving. But I mean, I could probably do it while I'm driving. But like my testimony was, after a couple of years ago, I'd broken an ankle, and that was the summer of 22. And I had to have an operation. The doctor put a metal plate and about 6 screws in there holding the joint together while it healed. And while it was healing, I wasn't able to put any pressure on that foot. So I walking around on crutches, and in the house I had to use a knee scooter and all this stuff. And so the whole summer of 22, I mean, I was pretty much lame. I couldn't do anything. I mean, my whole summer was wasted pretty much. So anyway, when the doctor finally said, "Hey, you're good to go, man. You just kind of be careful," and so I got a crutch that I started using. So everywhere I went, I had to get that crutch. So I'm walking, and anywhere I went, I had to have my crutch, right? After I did the process with Donn, and after I figured out all where this where this ego was, I'm saying, holy crap! I mean, I'm got in the car one day. I was going to go to the market or something, and about three miles down the road, I realized, hey man, you didn't get your crutch, or the ego said that, hey man, you need to get that crutch. Turn around, go back home, get your crutch, man. You need that. You need your crutch. You need your cane. And so I'm thinking, no, I don't need that cane. And from that point, I have not used the cane from that point. So, like I say, from that 3 months ago, when I did the process with Donn, is where I came to the conclusion that, hey, that ego, it'll always try to eat at you. But anyway, I don't need the cane anymore. I threw the cane away. I mean, I still got it at home. As a matter of fact, I was going to show it to you guys if I had been on the call while I was still at home. But yeah, it's all ego, man. Just don't let it get to you. And like Donn, he's got the magic sauce. And so I'm not seeing. We're going to all see him today. So that's my testimony, man. I hope it can somebody else can feel it like I did. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. LK. Yeah, I was absolutely
You're welcome.
cracking up yesterday whenever you were sharing how I was like, oh well, if I see someone on the on the street, like I can talk to them. We can relate about
Yeah.
having the game.
Yeah, that was the deal with the king. You got your king. So if say you're shopping somewhere in the mall or somewhere, you see somebody with a cane, there's always some way to start a conversation. Well, how'd you get hurt? How long have you been you've had your cane? And hey, what kind of cane you got? I mean, just on and on. That's just the ego feeding into that feeling sorry, you know, and that's what it wanted. It wanted me to go out and somebody feel sorry for me because I had a cane, and I'm a senior citizen. Oh, look at that poor old man. He's got a cane, man. I wonder what happened. But yeah, like I say, I got rid of the cane. I don't need it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's
Right,
awesome.
right.
Super powerful. So,
Yeah.
for you on the call, everybody that's watching, you just heard from Gilbert, you just heard from Mr. LK. And so if you're on the fence, I mean, really, there really should be no excuse. That's just the ego. It's just trying to, it knows that once it goes through the process, it can no longer survive. And so just take that leap of faith. Really, like there's really nothing that you can lose other than the ego itself and all of the toxic shit that comes with that. So we're super excited to have you tomorrow. Just to clarify, it is gonna be at 6 a.m. Philippines time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And so we have the website coming out. It's preferred. We're probably gonna have to manually do that. So, but other than that, everything is really done for like the membership and everything. So we're good. We're good to go. We're right on track. But with that being said, don't forget to be there tomorrow and invite people, invite everyone you know that you know could benefit, which is everyone. Because let me tell you something, there's nobody that's devoid of dealing with the ego. And whether you're a billionaire, whether you're an athlete, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just working a job, whether you're a teacher, you know, whether you're a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, whatever you are, if you're here on this plane, you need this process. Not everyone's going to go through it, unfortunately, but we only need 114 people that are holding the 700 vibration to completely shift the entirety of the world. And so we hope that you're one of those 114 people. And yeah, we're excited. We're excited to see who is going to be one of those 114. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow in at the live transformation. And then we'll also see you same time tonight for our live stream. So with that being said, all the love. I am Divinity, and so are you.